It's now time to bring it all back. That's right. It's season 2 of Behind the Comic Book Podcast with Mr. 845 Social. Brought to you by Icon Comiccon.
Hey everybody, it's Mr. 845 here, and we are checking it out on the scene again, doing our thing with the Behind the Comic Book Podcast. I'm actually interviewing what you would call the words of things that inspire comic books, an author. So, Cynthia, tell us, who are you and what do you do?
So my name is Cynthia Fusillo. I'm a children's author. I wrote this book, if I can show you guys for a second. I wrote this book, Virgo, the Unicorn, and the Meddlesome Dinosaur. I'm a children's author, and I also am the founder of the Cornwall, New York Authors Coalition.
All right, awesome. So before we get into anything, because I always like to give pages support first, tell us what your social links are.
Oh, glad you asked. So I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I have my author page, which is Signs of the Unicorn, just like it sounds like, Signs of the Unicorn. And then I have the coalition page, which is a group for authors, and it's called Cornwall NY Authors Coalition.
All right, and I'll make sure to put those links up once we get off of here, and I post it on the socials, so that way everybody can kind of join in and help support another small local business and a small local artist, if you will, because you're writing the art of the word, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
So let's kind of go. I always like to start from the beginning and see kind of like how we go towards the future here, to where you are at right now. So working on books and being an author, how did you get to that point? So let's start like the earliest possible. When did you want to know that you wanted to become an author?
Yes. So I'm glad you asked. So when my daughter was little, well, she's still little, but when she was really little, she didn't really love reading. And I'm a huge reader. I literally read all the time. My nose is in a book. I'm listening to books. I just love them. I'm always in a book. So she told me she didn't love reading, and I literally was like, gasp. This is not acceptable. So long story short, as you see, I have a library behind me. I love my books. So I was like, I have to figure out a way to make her love books. So I was like, why do you not like books? And she's like, well, I don't relate to the characters. At this time, she liked the unicorns. And she said, I don't relate to the characters. They have all these magical powers like teleportation and flying and all these things. And I don't relate. So I was like, well, in my head, I'm like, I'm just going to write a book. So I did. So fast forward, I started writing about this character. So just to show you guys, Virgo, which is here, that's her right there. And it came out basically from me. I'm a Virgo, actually. And her meddlesome friend, Meddle the dinosaur, here. I actually had that illustrated because I can't draw it. If it was me who drew this, these would be stick figures. So I did not draw that. Yeah, I cannot take credit for that. So that is kind of where the premise came from. And then that turned into, I want to do a whole series. And each unicorn is going to have their own character. So number 2 will be Leo, 3 will be Cancer, and on and on and on for a total of 12.
Okay. So we got the little bit of the astrology with the little bit of the children's book type stuff, right? So,
exactly.
So take us kind of through the premise of, kind of give us a little of the skinny, if you will, on the book itself. What type of adventures are we going to see? What type of imaginary locations? That type of thing. Is it based like Elf, where you're in the city, go to the goody gumdrop forest, and then you're in New York City? That type of thing, or how does it go?
I like you asked that. That's cute. So I actually started with, they live in the forest called Rainbow Forest, of course, obviously. They're unicorns. And they meet their friend Meddle. But the thing is they are having a problem with Meddle. Meddle doesn't know how to communicate. He's a bad communicator. And he just takes things and he crosses over boundaries. Now, that's a big word for kids. And overstepping boundaries is a big thing for kids to understand. So in the book, it's all about how she communicates with him using traits that she already has. So she uses compassion and kindness to understand what's going on with Meddle instead of attacking him. So she uses traits that she already has to address a problem. So that was my main thing for my daughter. I wanted her to see that you can actually be magical and use things you already have to solve problems without having magic per se, like teleportation or flying. So she uses, and it's actually, if I can show you a picture from the book, this is one of my favorites. And let's see if you remember this, Ramon, because maybe you will. Hold on. Most people might remember this or see this. This is actually where she uses her powers. So this is actually one of my favorite scenes from, you remember Sailor Moon?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, Sailor Moon. Yep. So this actually came from my brain, and I was like, I want like a Sailor Moon picture where she's using helpfulness, logic, and kindness to solve the problem that she's having with metal. So she
Nice.
goes to the river to think about the problem. She uses her power, and she talks to metal and finds out what's going on.
Does she transform like Sailor Moon, where you go like this and it all turns into like?
No, she totally should have transformed now. Um, no, but she did actually. There is a part where she glows. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. It's funny
No
you say
worries. No, I mean,
that. Yeah.
while you're going through the book, I mean, is what grade level would you say that this book is in?
I would say kindergartners, first grade, second grade could read this because it really does talk about like real life problems. Like you ever had someone take like your stuff and you're like, oh my God, like how do I address that? Like this addresses like real life things. Number two is going to be all about dealing with a boss who's always gone. So I think
Okay.
we've all been there, right? So it's going to be funny but cute, and parents can relate too because they're like, oh wait, I'm a Virgo. I'm helpful and kind, I guess you could say. So here you can actually see like how she's like glowing a little bit when she goes to go talk to Metal here.
Okay.
Um, I also insert some kind of fun things. So right when I was writing my book, my dog passed away, actually. I was right in the middle of illustration. So I decided to include my dog, Chachi, as a cameo character at the very end. So I
Nice.
put like little Easter eggs in there to make it fun. There he is right there, actually.
Uh, and he's illustrated too, as well
Yep.
as his picture. All right, that's
Yep.
awesome.
Isn't that cool? So
Yeah.
it's a way to like memorialize him. And then he's going to be a cameo character in the next book, too.
Yeah. Shout out to Optimus Prime. That was my dog. He passed away a couple years back, and now we have Pepper Potts. She hangs out with me all the time.
I
Yeah.
literally love that. Pepper Potts and Optimus Prime. Those are the
Yeah.
coolest names. Mine was Chachi
Yeah.
because Joni loves Chachi.
Okay, there you go. See, there's always a good story behind the names, right? So, it's
Mm-hmm.
not like Carl, hey Carl, come here, that type of thing. It's really important to find out, like, if somebody wants to support you, how exactly would they go about, getting the books and stuff like that. So if they wanted to kind of like search for it, is it in a local bookstore? Like, where could they find it?
So right now my book is only on Amazon. Eventually
Okay.
I do want to get it into stores, like I'm working on that. So authors have ways to get things into stores. Mine is relatively newer-ish, so I'm in like the year and a half mark. So right now I'm trying to work to get my book onto Ingram Spark so I can get it into more local stores. But the best way to get my book now is to go to Amazon or to come to an author event. So I'm going to be at 2 author events coming up. If I could share that now, that would be great. Yeah. So you can also come to an author event. So on June 6th, I'm going to be at the Middletown Thrall Library. Have you been there yet, Ramon?
I have not. I'm on the Wappinger side, but I know some good friends in Middletown. Shout out to Barbara Martinez and Echo Entertainment, Jesus
Yes.
Perez. So, I hang
Yes.
out with them pretty often back in the days. I kind of been scarce now, but I still do gigs with DJ Echo. So if you see him at any events, you might see me running the 360 booth every once in a while. So
Nice.
shout out to Echo Entertainment.
Shout out. So here's your personal invitation. June 6th, we're going to be at the Middletown Thrall Library. We're hosting a Author-Thon event, which I will talk more about that later. But Author-Thon is like epic author event. So I'm going to be there. I'll have my books. It starts around 10:30 and it goes to 2 o'clock. So that's a Saturday. And then I will also be at the Cornwall Riverfest on June 7th, and that's going to be at the Donahue Memorial Park, which is in Cornwall and Hudson. So it's going to be really pretty. There's going to be actually 15 authors from our group there, myself included, and I'll be there with my book, so come support. And there'll be also another 15 authors there, and then a bunch of other vendors too, Ramon. So that's all your chance to get all your businesses in one place. There's like 20 vendors. There's Newburgh Brewery is going to be there. And
nice.
so it's going to be awesome. So there's your personal invitation from me to you. Come visit. And then anyone else, yeah, please, I would love to see you. And then it would be really cool too, because then, not only do you get a chance to meet myself, but then there's also other authors there as well.
Yeah, no, this whole podcast is, brought to you by Icon Comiccon. It's a part about being the independents, right? Because without the independent artists, writers, creators, and stuff like that, we wouldn't have these cool stories that eventually become those epic, those epics. You know what I'm saying? Like they wouldn't come out of nowhere, right? Because like everybody had to start with like the small business, if you will, and then kind of grow into these bigger conglomerates. Like Marvel, DC. They used to be small publications before they became these giant, businesses that they are, and then get bought out by even bigger businesses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I always like to start small. because that's where the dreams happen, right? You know, when
Yeah.
you start with the small business, the small creator, they are the ones that bring, you know, the magic, and then it eventually becomes the future books, the movies, you know, series, you know, fan fictions, and you know, all those different things get to grow around them. So it's great to see.
Absolutely. I mean, like even like everyone starts somewhere. Even Stephen King had to start somewhere. So I think
Yeah.
it's true to the fact that, you know, that all authors have to start on a blank page. And I think that's what kind of brings us out, like, what kind of unites us is that we all have been there. We all know what it feels like to have writer's block, to feel stuck, to not to want to scream at KDP because your margins are bleeding and you still don't know why. So like we've all been there, and like it's really it's kind of like I think even comic book writers I'm sure go through it too.
Mhm.
Not knowing where to go next. Where's your character going, and why are they doing this? You know, so it's kind of a uniting factor for sure.
Yeah. So, you know, speaking of writer's block and kind of going through that, you know, what are some things that you've done in your career as a writer to kind of help you continue this path of storytelling? You know, I'm sure that, you know, life gets in the way sometimes. You said you have a family, so it's really important to, you know, not distract yourself from the book because you want to get there, but you have life. So how do you juggle this?
Yeah, life is lifing. For sure. I definitely use a lot of like real life situations to help me inspire my stories. So like my second book, which is Leo and the Distracted Dinosaur, is really inspired by my old job, which I will not talk about here because I don't want to ruin my story. But basically, it's not happening. No, but it's really good because it's just kind of like it's funny and it's cute, but it's also like realizing that as a leader, we need to kind of get to the bottom of what's happening with our people and like our employees.
Yeah.
And also, like my other book is kind of like going to be inspired by birthdays and how they're celebrated around the world. I actually just finished writing that one. That's really cool. I just like the cultural immersion piece of it. So something about that was really cool for me too. So just what's happening around in life. Sometimes I cry a little bit about it, or I'll walk in circles, or I'll read another book, and then I'll say, "Oh wow, this is really inspiring." I'm always reading something, so it kind of inspires me to keep writing and wanting to come up with new ideas.
Yeah, let me know when you get to the Gemini one, because you know, you could always add a Mr. 845 there as a Gemini,
I will.
doing
I will.
multiple things. I think it's the let's see here. The Draco, the Gemini side hustle,
Oh,
side
I like
hustler.
that.
There you go.
I
That
like
he
that.
does the day job and the night job. There you go. See, I'm giving you a premise for your third, or fourth, fifth series.
Yeah, so maybe Gemini is a multitasker.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Okay, it's a
Yeah,
good
I
spin on
struggle with
it.
ADHD myself, so I kind of could speak to it. You know, you live in the dual life, if you will. But
I get it.
I love the premise of the books and the stories, and not only the stories, but the lessons that you are, you know, giving not only your daughter but also other children, you know, that might feel the same way and stuff like that. So at least there's a lesson in your books. And as you continue, you know, definitely keep in touch so that way we can make sure that we get a lot more information. You know, not to jump from the book, but I know that you also have the coalition as well. So take me from book to now group leader, and bringing a conglomerate of different people together to help kind of grow this. I guess grow together type of thing. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, sure. That was kind of like one of the most unexpected things to happen. I was literally like writing my book and I was doing my outline because all good authors have to do an outline at some point. Like you're just like, where is my book going on this? And I'm drawing it out. As I'm drawing it out, I'm running into like one question after another. And like literally, I'll never forget. I'm sitting in the library going, I just don't know who to talk to. So I call my good friend Julia Dahl. I don't know if you know her or not, but she's an author in Cornwall. She's great. Shout out to Julia. And I'm like, Julia, there's got to be an authors group. I need to talk to somebody. I am super, super stuck. And she's like, there's not. I was like, come say what? What? You know, like I couldn't believe that there was not something that existed. So
Mhm.
I said, well, like anything else in my life, I'm like, well, I'm just going to make one. Same exact concept. So I just first started with creating a group to share resources and network with other authors. So authors meeting authors coming together in a space that really supported them and just kind of like had their back. Like you could ask questions and be like, hey, I have a question about this, or hey, I have a question about that, or hey, I have a book launch and what did you do? Blah, 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 blah. That has then evolved, completely evolved. So we still do networking, we still do topics, we still talk to each other all the time. It's amazing. I love it. I even have an author's newsletter, Ramon. So if you want me to put you on it, let me know.
Nice.
Um, So that had then evolved to now doing author events. So the author events are really about connecting readers to authors and authors to readers and engaging people in the literary community to say, hey, you like books? I got you. And then I have all these authors, and we have, I mean, like literally every genre you can imagine, Ramon, from horror, fiction, fantasy, romance, romantasy, because I know you love romantasy, and all those books.
The rom-coms, gotta love them.
The only thing we don't have is a comic book author. You need to introduce me to somebody.
I could talk to you about a couple people that I know, especially locally. Iron Age Comics, if you veteran owned publisher.
Is that the one that did the Jaded one about the homeboy, the boys? That one?
No, I don't believe so. But he does multiple different things. He does Sherlock Holmes, who turns into a vampire.
Ooh.
And Watson fights him. So it's like
I always knew Sherlock was a vampire. Come on, we all knew this was a thing. So
you're gonna see. I bought some stuff from him. So because I like to support. So I'm going to do like a unboxing, if you will, of the whole packages that we got from his Kickstarter. So
I would love to meet him, Ramon. So please like do an intro. But like with the group, it's like we're really supportive of each other. Like there's nothing that another author feels a certain kind of way. They're like, hey, I have a book launch, or hey, I just wrote my 1,000 words. Like we're just very supportive. And then we have like different types of events that talk about information. So we have one that's coming up in April about monetizing your book, which every author needs to know how to make money from their book. Yeah. And another one in May about formatting your book, which every author has to go through that. I'm sure comic book authors do too, but formatting your book. And the gentleman who's doing is L.M. Kaplan. He's a horror author and he's also a book formatter. So he's doing that one for us. It's pretty cool. And then we have Author-Thon. So Author-Thon was my brainchild because literally I was like, there needs to be an author event and it should be fun. It shouldn't be just us talking to people. Like that's boring. Like I mean, there's so much you could hear me talk before like, shut up, I want to talk now, right? So this is a moment where authors get to engage with the community. So we do an authors panel and it's like Q&A. So like you ask me questions and then I answer and then the audience gets to ask questions. We have 2 prizes, like literary prizes. So it's like there's books and stuff. We do a scavenger hunt and we have vendors. So like, for example, Middletown, Thrall is going to have 2 vendors. So now you definitely have to come. I think Tranquility may be coming and they're looking to get a second vendor and we're giving away 2 solid prizes. So it's definitely worth coming. We're giving it's going to be really engaging, so much fun. And so that's what the Author-Thon basically is. So we did Cornwall, we're doing Middletown, and then it's going to keep the roadmap. It's going to keep on keeping on.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, the best thing to do is not only, promote yourself, but then also promote others because they also do this. Well, in turn, they should do the same, right? They should be promoting you as well as promoting themselves as well. And if you guys all do it together, it actually increases the circumference of your demographic, right? Because I'm sure that, there are people that love horror, but then, they might have kids that they don't necessarily want them to read horror at this point, or they want them to kind of like learn lessons in life. And some of the books that they read at school, they kind of fall short, so it's always good to have choices so that they can, emphasize not only the grade level learning, but also help kind of give them different perspectives, if you will, because sometimes they might not gel with certain authors. Like for me, when I was in school, and this is kind of a reason why I do a lot of this stuff, is I had a stutter, very hard time reading, just never really liked it. ADHD, it's very hard because you have to read it 3 times. And, everybody used to make fun of me because I used to have the stutter. So I eventually was hooked on phonics. But then I found comic books, and the comic books is kind of like what helped me do more of the dialogue reading, which then allowed me to now speak without a stutter. But I still have to think about things every once in a while, but like my mind goes faster than my mouth does type of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's always good to get different contexts. Like there are certain authors that I'll read a lot of their books. I can get through them. And then some other authors, I get through the first 3 pages and I'm like, I need help. So somebody needs to read this with me. So
yes.
Stuff like that.
So I'm curious, do you do graphic novels too? Do you also
I have a comic book one of Captain America. So I'd have one of those.
Oh, nice.
Big Captain America, Wolverine, stuff like that type of thing. In the sense of the hero, coming of age type of stories are, pretty interesting to me.
Yeah.
But, I also wanted to kind of see, now that you got inspired, right? And a lot of things I like to do is also to take that message of how you got inspired and how you would like to inspire the next author, right? Because you're a part of the coalition, but also an author yourself. So if you had to tell somebody that wanted to step into your shoes and become an author themselves, what kind of advice would you be able to give them?
So I would definitely say to anybody that wants to be an author that it's absolutely possible, that you should take whatever you have that's in your head, write it down, and get started. And don't stop, because at the end of the day, there's gonna be roadblocks along the way, but you just gotta keep going. And at one point, you will hold a book in your hand, and you're gonna feel so accomplished, even if you're the only person that reads it. It feels so good to get to that last part. And like when I founded the coalition and I saw authors publishing, I can honestly say I felt excited for them, because this is something you've worked on for years, and in many cases. And just seeing that, and just know that if you ever need support or you need somebody to back you up, you can always come to join the coalition, because we don't just have authors, we have people who are looking to publish too. Like we just had like 3 or 4 people just recently publish. So we really do want to support not only just authors, but people who want to get there, because it's important that someone reads your story.
Yeah. And, I see that you have also Sade Williams in your group as well. I know Sade very personally. She's one of my first authors that I've actually interviewed in my career of interviewing people. So shout out to her. And I'll set you up with Iron Age Comics. His name is John Santana, a veteran-owned business owner, and he's a really good friend of mine, very good storyteller. And also, he helps other businesses and other authors in the sense of being able to make their publishing dreams come true. So it's amazing to see that I love supporting not only, small businesses, but veteran-owned businesses, because without our support of them, when they supported us, this thing can't keep going. You know what I'm saying? So
yes.
It is a lot of things. So I want to revisit a lot of the things that you said during this podcast, because I want to make sure if anybody sees this thing and they have to be like, oh, I got to rewind the whole thing to get back to where she's going to be and what she does. Let's go through the social links first. And then let's go through the different events. And if you have a website or a link, we'll kind of like work on that, because I'll have to post the Amazon links for you for your book. So start with the socials.
Sure. So Facebook and Instagram on my author page is Signs of the Unicorn. So that's Signs of the Unicorn, one word. For my Instagram and Facebook for the coalition, it's Cornwall NY Authors Coalition. So it's all one word, Cornwall NY Authors Coalition, both on Facebook and on Instagram. You can't miss it, because it looks like we have like a big thing of like feathers or fire. Super cool looking on the page there. For events, I'm going to be June 6th, Middletown Thrall Library. Please come out. There's going to be prizes. There's going to be vendors. There's going to be fun. And there's going to be 15 authors, myself included. That's June 6th. That starts at 10:30 a.m. and goes till 2 o'clock p.m. June 7th is Cornwall Riverfest. That starts at 11 a.m. Again, whole table full of authors. Every genre you can imagine will be there. So I hope you come either June 6th or June 7th to Middletown, June 6th, or Cornwall, June 7th.
All right, awesome. So, Cynthia, thank you very much for allowing me to interview. I really do appreciate hearing your story. I want people to check out the book. So we'll get all the links, and when we post this up, I'm pretty quick with the posting, so we'll post this up as soon as possible, and then be able to get all the links into the actual YouTube channel. So if you guys want to see these things, the way to support is either look me up at Mr. 845 Social on YouTube, or Mr. 845 Social on Instagram or on Facebook, to kind of help support a lot of these businesses. Make sure that you give them follows on all their pages, and also check out their Amazon links and stuff like that, because the more traction you give them, the more that they can generate all these cool things that they do. That being said, I want to make sure that everybody sees, Icon Comiccon is going to be back in 2027. We're working and plugging away. So I'll let you know once we have dates, locations, and stuff like that, because it's going to be important to not only support our comic book artists out there in the world, but our also local independent artists as well. It's part of the things that we do. That being
I can't wait to hear more about it, Ramon. That sounds like so much fun.
Don't worry, we'll definitely hit you up on the right after this. So thank you, Cynthia, again. We really do appreciate you, and like I said, we'll get this right up as soon as possible and get to
Can I just
everybody
add
seeing
one
all the
more
cool
thing,
stuff.
Ramon, if that's
Yeah,
okay?
no, definitely.
A great way to support an author besides reading their book or purchasing it is Amazon reviews. This is absolutely huge and helps with the algorithm. So if you've read a book recently, that includes you too, Ramon. If you read a book recently, go on Amazon and give them a review because it really does help us as authors to gain that visibility. And then, of course, coming to those events and talking about it. Thank you.
All right. I'll make sure I have that link for that too. All right, awesome. So we'll get you all the socials and everything on the video. This is Mr. 845 signing off. Thank you again for watching, and check out our next episode.
Thank you.